Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, March 27, 2018. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Trade unions across SVG have been challenged to do more to memorialize Ebenezer Theodore Joshua, as well as to show support for him to be named a national hero. This from Chair of the National Heroes Advisory Committee, Renee Batiste, as she spoke at a wreath-laying ceremony held in honor of Joshua.
Trade unions or the National Labour Congress putting it at their feet, because you must stand up to your fire. Labour Workers' Week, you should have a lecture, memorial lecture, to honor the people's name so that it continues. You give scholarships. A scholarship should be in the name of Ebenezer Theodore Joshua. The government at Cabinet had given scholarships, national exhibitions in the name of Mrs. Norma Keyser, Ebenezer Joshua, McIntosh, and those persons, but not the movement for the man who principally his vehicle of change and his vehicle of reaching the people was the trade union. Awake, trade unions, awake!
Speaking in support of having Joshua named a national hero was General Secretary of the National Workers' Movement, Noel Jackson, who stated that one of the requirements is that the candidate's work must have changed the course of history, adding that Joshua has fulfilled this requirement as a trade unionist.
Joshua basically is responsible to a large extent for us going on paid vacation leave. There are some parts of the world up to today that don't have that. Maternity benefits, increased wages and salaries on an annual basis to allow workers to grapple with rising costs of living. The recognition that you are an integral part of the company, so you ought to be involved in discussions as to the way the company should treat with the working people. All those things were brought by Ebenezer. If that has not contributed to changing the course of history, I don't know what will.
Jackson stated that in his opinion, Joshua has a great accumulation of deeds, which makes him a front runner for the title of national hero.
Joshua fought and built schools to ensure that the children of the plantation workers and others who never used to get a chance to go to school, some of them, all they knew was the estate. Joshua fought to get that rectified. Joshua was the first person in government to build low-income house for the poor. I don't know how many of us recognize that. So there is an accumulation of deeds and acts committed by this brother that compels us to give him recognition ahead of others.
Over the next 2 days, some 140 non-commissioned officers, NCOs, of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force will be participating in an NCO conference, which is a refresher program for long-standing NCOs, as well as equip new NCOs with the necessary tools to carry out their duties. We hear more on the opening of the conference in this report by Nikita Tony.
Considered to be the primary and most visible leaders within the security forces, non-commissioned officers NCOs here in SVG will for the next 2 days participate in an NCOs conference being held at the Peace Memorial Hall under the theme Fostering Cooperation, Building Synergies for Greater Efficiency. Delivering welcoming remarks at the opening ceremony, Chair of the Conference Organizing Committee, Inspector of Police Junior Simmons, said the 2-day event forms part of the RSVGPF's strategic goals, which include offering continuous training to all members.
Especially to the mid-level supervisors who are on the natural trajectory to the senior management in the organization. Over the next 2 days, the NCOs gathered here will receive training from a group of skilled and knowledgeable presenters who will present on various subject matters, which includes election interviewing and many others. But those who are absent because of the exigency of the police force will get the opportunity to attend the next conference.
Commending the members of the organizing committee for making the event a reality, Acting Commissioner of Police Colin John outlined the significance of NCOs within the operations of the police force. He further deemed the event's theme to be very timely and relevant.
We have to build the cooperation among ourselves first, and then we build the cooperation among the members of the public. So cooperation is very important and very necessary. Build on the strength while identifying our weaknesses, and so that we can be a better organization and can serve St. Vincent and the Grenadines more efficiently.
Noting that as the RSVG Police Force moves forward as an organization, there must be an assessment of where they are currently, Prime Minister and Minister of National Security Dr. Ralph Gonsalves urged all officers to be mindful of their obligations as members of the nation's security force.
So we mustn't be afraid of change. We must not be afraid of reform. We must adopt best practices, what we see elsewhere, and adapt to suit our circumstances. Bearing in mind always that our central mandate is to fight crime and to maintain law and order.
The 2-day conference will also aim to ensure that NCOs are equipped with the best practices, which will further aid in a stronger collaboration between the police and the Vincentian public. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is continuing to explore ways it can boost the capacity of the nation's Coast Guard service. That's according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as he spoke on radio on Sunday, highlighting some of the achievements of the ruling Unity Labour Party administration over the years. PM Gonsalves said the Coast Guard continues to perform rescue patrol services within SVG's waters, adding that the government is seeking to boost the Coast Guard fleet as well as the capacity of officers with training opportunities.
This reconditioned vessel which we're going to get is costing us $6.5 million. It's from Damen.
And that's 6.5 US?
US.
Yes.
Million US. Thanks. We are looking at another one, but this would be able to spend a lot of time going out at sea. Highly sophisticated vessel. We have a lot of bright young people in the Coast Guard, very well trained. They're not as experienced, and they need bigger vessels to expand the experience. Damen has the vessels in Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados. So we're going to do some training in Barbados. They already agreed. Trinidad has already agreed to similarly to do training.
PM Gonsalves added that the government is also seeking to boost the capacity of the Coast Guard to perform medical evacuation and is looking at specialized ships for this purpose.
People talk about helicopter. And we have been doing the analysis, and the analysis tells us, and I can only do things on the basis of the analysis, that it is preferable for us to have an appropriate medevac vessel. We're also talking to Damen about it. The idea is to have a vessel which can double as a patrol vessel, but which is almost like a clinic on the sea. Because the current facilities which we have, do we evacuate people medically from the Grenadines? We don't, they're not the best.
In celebration of his party's 17th year in governance, the leader of the ruling Unity Labour Party, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, said that his administration has made tangible gains that has propelled this country to development. Speaking on a live broadcast on NBC Radio earlier, PM Gonsalves said the impact can be felt not only in infrastructure but also in employment opportunities.
They can see it in education, they can see it in health, they can see it in poverty reduction, in indigence, they can see it in the infrastructure, in Argyle International, they can see it in Canouan Jet Airport, they can see it in Raboka Bridge, they can see it 14 bridges across the country. We can go through all the basic things which have been done. People can see these things so that, and people, they see it and they feel it because it affects them in a personal way and positive way. I mean, I can go through the basic data. Let us take, for instance, the NIS data, National Insurance Services. At the end of 2000, there were 30,061 active employees on the register. At the end of 2017, there's nearly 35,000. There's an increase of 4,862, call it 5,000, over 16%. In fact, if you were to check between active employees, self-employed, and employers, the number went up by 6,046, 16%.
Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, on the other hand, is of the view that the ruling Unity Labour Party administration has failed the nation's youth. On his party's New Times radio program on Monday, Dr. Friday said that the ULP has not delivered and young voters must not let the party cheapen their ballot power by trying to dupe them with a nice time.
It's critically important, particularly for young people, as they come into young adulthood, that they find things that motivate them, the things that they can do for their community. In particular, the thing that you find when we do our walkabouts, that the one thing that everybody says, you know, is that you have to find jobs in these young people. And you get the impression very clearly that the number one priority on people's minds is to find jobs. Yes. Jobs for young people. And I think the young people in this country have been given a rotten deal, a bad deal by this ULP government. They have talked a good talk, but they have not done, they have not delivered the goods for the young people. This is why the IMF could say that 46% of the young people between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed in this country. True. And it's not going to improve just by throwing a party and having a fete, and then Monday morning the people still have to go looking for work and having to do things that are not going to improve them.
Dr. Friday said an NDP government would be obsessed with finding more employment opportunities for the youth as the country needs more economic growth.
After so many years in power, and they have not delivered the goods for the young people, and they're still trying to attract them with the usual fete and dance, and at the end of the day, they still cannot find work. They'll come out of community college, some of them very highly educated, and they can't find even a part-time job for several years after coming out of school. This is something that we are, in the New Democratic Party, we are told this before in this program, that we will be obsessed about looking for ways to find work, to improve the economy so that the economy can grow again. That is the main problem in this country, you know. The government only looks out for its own finances. They find ways to get more tax revenue from the citizens, find ways in which they can squeeze more money out of the people. Sure.
Meanwhile, commenting on statements made by newly re-elected Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne, on a radio program there, Dr. Friday said the statements have been taken out of context. Dr. Friday told SVG-TV News today that during his conversation with Prime Minister Browne, he was not trying to solicit any strategic advice as reported by some media outlets, and that Prime Minister Browne was merely indicating in the interview that he didn't have any scientific, deliberate, tactical plan in his recent election campaign, which is Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party won by a landslide.
No, I called him to congratulate him. And that is what you normally do in this situation. There's somebody that I know I'd met before and so on, and I was telling him, job well done. I still do that. If that was not understood as the gist of the conversation by anybody who may have heard them subsequently, then that would be the erroneous interpretation. I called to congratulate him, and I did so, and I still extend my congratulations to him. And anything else, any characterization as somehow that I was seeking advice and all that stuff, that's, you know, that's what it's been characterized. That is not really the purpose of the conversation or the gist of it. And, you know, Prime Minister Browne did a fantastic job in winning his campaign. I suppose that he was presenting to his audience that he had done all the work for himself, and that that was the point that he was communicating.
As part of efforts to promote literacy activities in primary schools across the country, the Ministry of Education has continued its partnership with the National Insurance Services to host the annual Grade 5 Public Speaking Competition, which culminated here earlier today. The event, which saw 7 students presented a prepared and impromptu speech, forms part of the ministry's mantra to create an avenue for the nation's youth to develop their literacy and public speaking skills. We hear more on today's finals in this report.
Intended to foster literacy appreciation, enhance language competencies across the curriculum, and develop research skills at the primary level, the finals of the 2018 Grade 5 Public Speaking Competition were held earlier today, Tuesday, March 27th, at the NIS Conference Room. Out of the over 40 primary schools which entered this year's competition, 7 speakers were successfully chosen as finalists. Commending the 7 finalists, Senior Education Officer Joycelyn Blake Browne outlined that all participants had an opportunity to share their opinion on heavy topics of discussion.
And even today that our students are still not given enough opportunities to express themselves in real life situations. For young people, they are not afraid to express, and as educators we have to encourage them. Yes, we can mold and guide along the way, but our young people, they have a voice, and I encourage you all to listen and guide them when they go wrong.
Representative of the National Insurance Services, Sharon Aston, said her organization is happy to contribute to the development of literacy here in SVG.
So we embrace every opportunity to participate in events that mirrors our mission to foster social development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Sponsoring this event for the 15th year attests to NIS commitment to ensuring that our primary school students participate fully in civic and democratic life and to contribute towards upliftment of society.
The results from the 2018 Grade 5 Public Speaking Competition are as follows. Third position went to Rosatia Short of the Lowman's Leeward Anglican School, with Janique Shallow of the Lower Bay School, formerly known as the Paradise Primary of Beckway, taking the second position. Shallow also won the Best Impromptu Speech Award. Copping the 2018 Grade 5 Public Speaking Champion Trophy was Ramara Diamond of the Marqua Government School, who also won the Best Prepared Speech title. All 7 finalists received a small trophy for their participation in this year's event. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
23 young, motivated and inspired persons here were on Saturday, March 24th, initiated as members of the 2018 CARICOM Youth Ambassadors SVG Committee. Formed as part of efforts to promote youth advocacy and development, CYA committees are found throughout the CARICOM sub-region, with the local arm commonly praised for active participation and initiatives. At Saturday's ceremony, the new members were charged with the responsibility of being good role models and advocating for change, not only in SVG and in other CARICOM countries, but also the wider world. We hear more in this report.
Use my energies, talent and resources for the benefit of myself, my peers, my community, nation, my region and my world.
Building bonds, developing networks, fostering youth involvement and cohesion within CARICOM. That's the theme under which the local arm of the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors held its 2018 initiation ceremony on Saturday, March 24th at the Methodist Church Hall. Noting that the CYA SVG Committee shares the same vision as the Youth Affairs Division within the Ministry of National Mobilization, Assistant Youth Officer Kesley Cambridge commended the 23 incoming members as well as their predecessors for seeing the need to advocate for youth involvement and development within their community, country and the wider CARICOM region.
This organization has seen the need to tap into what I would call the untapped abilities of our young people. It's my hope that as we make a greater effort to collaborate with various programs that both the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors and the Youth Affairs Division engage in, that there will be a greater awareness of possible avenues for growth among our young people, and there will be an increase in the number of young people who join organizations such as this.
Giving a brief overview of the activities and initiatives undertaken by the 2017 committee, male CARICOM Youth Ambassador Andre Browne thanked all committee members, partners and supporters for their work in raising awareness to a number of social issues and ensuring that the youth of this nation have a voice.
2018, we have more good things to come as we seek to tackle the issues of HIV/AIDS, crime and violence in our society, and increase general CARICOM and CSME knowledge within our youth and the society as a whole. We will build the capacity of our members in civics and logically constructing arguments. But we can't do it alone. We need the assistance of the public, and we need the assistance of everyone here this evening.
Minister with the responsibility of Youth Affairs, Frederick Stephenson, outlined that the CYA SVG Committee stands as one of the most active and dedicated committee within the region and commended all current and previous members for their involvement and efforts. Minister Stephenson went on to challenge the 23 new members to be and do their very best, as they are now role models for their fellow youths and should take that role very seriously.
You saw an interest in it, and that is something that you feel that you can be a part of as you make yourselves useful persons, be the kind of person that your nation, your family, and your friends and the young people and children can look up to.
Saturday's ceremony also saw the outgoing cohort of committee members receiving their respective certificates of participation for their work during the 2017 term. A special presentation was also done for the outgoing female CARICOM Youth Ambassador Chelsea Ferdinand Phils for her hard work and dedication over the years. The CYA SVG Committee remains committed to raising awareness to a number of issues affecting the youth of not only SVG, but more so the wider CARICOM sub-region. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Secondary school students who have a passion for music and performing music can expect to see more avenues created for them to express their talent. That's the assurance from Panis Rodney Small, the coordinator of the recently held National Secondary School Band Showcase. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Small explained that he was pleased with the level of support given to the students despite the inclement weather. He also praised the high standard of performances delivered by all 11 participating bands.
Quite naturally, I was doing a lot of groundwork, myself and the committee, going to the different bands on a couple of weeks, so we kind of know what was coming, but what was really a great feeling is to see the support system in terms of the business houses who came on board and decided to sponsor each individual band. The support system from the Vincent public here tonight. I mean, as you see, although it was raining, persons keep coming. Thank the parents in particular. And I mean, we've been thanking the musicians and the principals and the sponsors. But I really wanted to say a big thank you to the parents, because without them, this wouldn't have been possible.
Small said he hoped to get more students involved in music bands and plans to get more schools, sponsors, and even music teachers on board.
We're hoping to get all secondary schools on board. The challenge is that, and it's something that the committee wants to address, is that there are a lot of schools who want to take part, but they don't have tutors. Not that they don't have instruments or they don't have musicians. So that was really one of the challenges this year in particular. So the committee decided that, we need to put something in place where we could facilitate some tutors or train some tutors so that we could get more bands by the end of 2018. The doors are open to be a part of this project, because this actual showcase is just a scratch on the surface, because we have multiple things that's going to be unfolding in this particular year, because we had the national workshop already where we're doing a lot of different subject areas in terms of ethics and self-discipline, teamwork, and right after this we have our mentorship program, and then right after that we have our boot camp, and then to end of 2018 we're going to have an invitational where we take the different schools to other schools to create that camaraderie, because that is what the industry is all about.